Alright, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. In this video, I'm going to be attempting, at least, now I'm going to call it that, attempting to repair the one side of the quick attachment on this quick attachment lever things on this Bobcat T190. My neighbor dropped it off and asked me if I think I can weld it, and I said I think I maybe can, so I don't know. I just have my vice grip sitting on it right now, holding it kind of how this one was. You can see this is the side that isn't broken. It looks like maybe it was at one point, and someone maybe re-welded this already. I don't know, but so I'm thinking maybe it looks like this is really kind of thin stuff. This is like 1/4 inch right here, and then this main piece of like the attachment is about 3/8, which is solid, but there's a whole bunch of weld right here, like probably a 1/2 inch or more of weld here and here. That I'm gonna have to get rid of if I want to have any chance of welding this thing good. And I don't know, I was just kind of looking at this thing, and I've never worked on one of these at all, but I think maybe if I take this bolt out here, that potentially, depending if this can move back and forth enough, this bar here, this hydraulic arm here, I might end up having to take that off also. But maybe if I just back this bolt out, I'm thinking I can just slide this lever handle part off to get the broken part out, and then maybe I'll be able to set it here and take a soapstone and mark out where I need to fix and blah 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 and grind out, and then go about trying to weld it. Yeah, I don't know, like I said, that's why I said attempting. I don't know how well it's gonna go over, because there is just a whole bunch of weld that I'm gonna have to grind, and I don't have a torch, oxyacetylene torch or anything, unfortunately, to scarf that away or anything. But yeah, I don't know, I figured to take a video. I'll video whatever I can. I don't know if it's gonna be any useful to anyone, but maybe other than a bit of entertainment, because I'm sure there'll probably be some sort of stuff that goes wrong. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not gonna get anything done by staring at it, so it's gonna start by seeing if I can back this bolt off here. Hopefully it's not under a bunch of compression and doesn't shoot off. If it looks like it's gonna, I'm just gonna not do that and figure out something else. But yeah, I don't know, grab a, looks like probably 1/2 inch or 9/16, or I'll just crescent wrench. Or then maybe that one won't even spin, so maybe just my impact in like a whatever that is. I'll pick the camera up in a second. Alright, I went ahead and took a bunch of pictures with my phone, just of both sides before I even attempt taking anything off, so I can hopefully put them on back exactly how they were if and when that happens. Yeah, it appears that this nut here is just a 9/16, so I'll have a grab a wrench and get that nut backed off. And okay, it was washer, spring thingy, bolt, so just like that. Now let's see if this thing will come on. All I got is a little couple of chunks. See, this is all I got, see? This is all I got left. And I gotta go get some more treats. We finally made it through a 10-pound box. Aha! Perfect. Aha! That never works. Alright, that's a good start. So now we can see where it was. And you can see how it broke. So now I just gotta figure out the best way to go about welding it and cleaning up the edges and stuff, because it's kind of a weird piece, but I think it broke in a way where I should at least be able to get it working again. Maybe? I don't know. Alright, well, it's already basically dark, but I just went ahead and took a Sharpie or marker and scribbled all around kind of just what I need to clean up and where I need to get rid of metal and stuff on both sides, kind of. Being that this main piece here is like 1/2 inch and the rest of it's only like 1/4 inch, I don't think there's really even a chance I'm going to get this thing to weld unless I preheat that 1/2 inch piece with a blowtorch and get it somewhat close to hot, because otherwise it's not gonna get good penetration on, I don't think. But yeah, before I even tack up any of that 1/4 inch parts, like right in here, I'm gonna get that chunky parts cleaned up if I can and see about what that's gonna look like. But I'm also gonna have to get a light set up here because it's gonna be pitch black pretty soon. So pick the camera up once I'm doing something. Alright, well, I just took some paint pens and kind of scribbled around where I'm gonna end up needing to clean and weld and stuff. This red part here in the middle is what I think is gonna be like the most important part to do good welds on, and the red part is just kind of supposed to be my way of indicating what not to grind off. Alright, here's how much I ground down last night. That Sharpie is, I might end up trying to put a little bit of a bevel on this just to give myself some more to weld, but I got the bucket curled now, or where the bucket would be, so I can get to this other weld and hopefully grind this out on both sides, and then I can go back to sticking the thing on there. Alright, well, I just took a wire wheel and wire wheeled off the rust on the welds, at least so I can see them. And I'm going to try to just only take out where that, I'm assuming this must have had been fixed at one point, because there's these two welds here aren't the same as this weld. They're painted over. So yeah, see if I can get that out, those two beads. Same on this side. Clean this edge up and maybe bevel it, like I said, and then just stick this thing back on there and see if it'll get them through what they're trying to do with it. I threw my jack stand under here because alright, I don't know how well you can see that, but I've just kind of been grinding a little bit and then putting it up there and checking as I do this, and starting to get somewhat of a spot to put a weld in. I think I've got this one kind of already pretty much at like a, I don't know, 35, 45 degree angle on both sides. There's not much to weld, like as far as on both sides go, but I think I just need to do a little more work on this one till there's actually a spot for weld to stack, a spot to stack weld on both sides, and then just clean the edges up here a little bit, like on the quarter inch parts, and tack them together first, and then go about trying to weld the thick stuff. Alright, well, at least a full hour of grinding. I think closer to hour and a half, 2 hours probably now. But that's kind of what I was expecting, being that this is a real thick part right there. I went and got that thicker part beveled somewhat, and then the other edges where it's like 1/4 inch, I kind of just tried to put like a 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch chamfer, probably, rather than, I don't know, you probably wouldn't call it a bevel, more of a chamfer on that edge, and then like on this edge and this edge. So if you hold it up somewhat like that where it goes, you can see I got at least a little bit of a spot to run bead there, and then here there should be a good, I don't know, roughly 1/4, 3/8 inch groove on each side to fill. It's not perfect by any means as far as beveling and stuff goes, but I don't want to take too much more of this stuff away, because then I'm just going to be making this thing less structural, or like making this thing less strong than it is. So I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna, and then that one part that I chamfered there, if I can get it again, that part with the 1/4 inch, there's a good gap, like a 1/16, 1/8 of an inch gap right there, so I should be able to fill that up with weld too. I'm just gonna have to try and keep it all from twisting and stuff on me, but yeah, I think I've got it to where I can at least try and start tacking some welds on there, maybe clean up a couple more spots. But all right, well, yeah, I gotta dig out all my homemade adapters and stuff so I can run my welder off of my dryer outlet anyways. So I will pick the camera back up once I've got somewhere. Okay, well, if I breathe on it wrong, I think it's gonna fall, but I'm gonna see if I can get it tacked up, and then we'll actually see if we can weld something. All right, 5,423 million years later, I got the spot for the ground cleaned as far as paint, and I've got it clamped on there. There's another clamp over there, I think. It's in the spot that it should be, I believe, as far as angle, hopefully. So I'm just gonna, and I got these woodworking clamps on there, just gonna see if I can tack it and. Alright, I think I got it tacked somewhat good. By somewhat I mean, I don't know. I got it tacked at least. Other than on this far end, so I'm going to cut my zip tie now. It's kind of holding this lever back and try to tack that last bit if I can, or the ends, and then probably run some little bit of weld, and then probably flip or curl the bucket back up and see if I can weld the other side. And then come back and do this. Okay, well that still goes on there, so that's good. I'm gonna pull it back off though and tack the other side. There we go. Now I should be able to tack in here. Alright, I went and cleaned the paint off right here too, and I'm half tempted to put a slot here with my angle grinder, but I'm just gonna see if I can tack it on the edge. Alright, that's where I'm gonna stop on this side for now, and then I'm just gonna flip it over and try and get some of that welded in. So I don't want to get too much goobered on here before I get the other side at least started and stuff. So, but I mean, got some of them to burn in there decently, I think. Gonna probably end up putting more in there, but. Alright, 400,000 years later, I got about 5 rods in here, so hopefully it works. I got it welded back on there, and my neighbor used it for a day and for a couple projects or whatever he was doing, and it didn't break, and it seems to be in the same or in the right spot. So I just told him whenever he wants to drop it back off, I'll do some more finishing passes as far as the welds go to make them look better and be better. All right, I got it's moved again, and I curled the bucket down because I put way more weld on one side of this piece that I welded back on, and it's when the buckets curl all the way in, this part here of the, like the whatever, the bend on the quick attachment where it connects to like your fork or bucket or whatever, that touches the arms right here, and it doesn't on this side. So I'm gonna see if I just grinding it out and putting weld on this side pulls it back enough. Otherwise I'll maybe hit it with a hammer. Then I also noticed that this cylindrical stud type thing that this lever arm sits on is also kind of looking like it's about to crack. I can't really weld anything under there, so maybe I'll just try and clean that a little bit and put a little bit of new weld on it. But I don't, like I said, I don't want to make anything worse, because it's, at the moment it was working, so yeah. But I'll throw it on time lapse because grinding's boring. So oh, I also took a spare welding jacket that I have that I don't care about burning, and tried to cover all of like the Zerk grease fittings, and as well as like the cylindrical as well as the chrome part of the hydraulic arm, just to prevent any sort of spatter or anything like that from messing that stuff up. I'm gonna grab something actually for right here too, just because you don't want anything. I mean, you don't even want these dirty, to be honest, I don't think, but that's probably impossible. But for sure, no weld on there, spatter. All right, time lapse. All right, I got everything ground back to at least weldable steel. The welds were a lot worse than I thought they were. I'm surprised it didn't break, to be honest, but we'll see if I can make it better now. And apparently I didn't even weld right here, which is, I don't know why, but yeah, let's try and get some good ones on there. been a little hot. Alright, well my camera battery died again, and apparently I didn't take any videos of the weld, so here's what I did have on my phone. I apologize about that. They're not very pretty anyway, so you're not missing much. I got the thing welded on there at least. Let's see if it still hooks up to attachments. Duke, careful, over here. Duke, come here, Duke! Duke! Alright, well it's been a few weeks now since the clip you're watching right here, and so far the welds haven't snapped, knock on wood, but my neighbor's skid steer started having some bogging issues, or at least that's what he told me the issues were, and that's where I started chasing them down, and the rest of the video is me doing that. So I'm going to be attempting to replace this here fuel filter, Wix 33192. It is for a skid steer. The skid steer that it is going in, or that I'm going to put it in, is a Bobcat T190. It's my neighbor's, and there's no like active warning lights or anything on it, but it's losing power and the RPMs aren't running, and it's just like not operating how it should be. So excuse me, I already did the basic thing. I have zero diesel mechanic experience at all. I have zilch, but I cleaned the air filter because that's like just an easy thing to start with, and to check like whatever I could see easily in from the little bits of stuff that I do know about engines. And I cleaned the air filter, and that didn't make it run any better. So the next thing that I figured would be worth trying is changing the fuel filter. So that led me to here. So I'll go get the skid steer, and I'll pick the camera back up and hopefully show you the problem, and then see if this helps, and if I can do this without making it any worse, or if I'm just going to get covered in all sorts of diesel for nothing. It actually won't even move. Alright, well, that's interesting. You see, it still says no active warnings, even though it won't move, which is weird, so I don't know. It looks like I'm not even going to be able to bring it to my house to work on it, so I'm going to shut her down here and go and get my truck and my tools and come see if we can get it changed here. All right, well, it's pitch black, well, almost pitch black, but I went and got my truck and tools, and I don't really need many tools, I don't think, to do this, but threw a pair of gloves on and just gonna see if I can get this fuel filter taken out and changed. Alright, well, I'm gonna see about getting the new one pre-filled and primed and stuff like that, and then I'll pick the camera back up. Alright, here's that filter I picked up again from O'Reilly's, and it is a bit different and it's a bit taller, but I believe that the rest of everything is the same, and I think it's gonna fit in here. Yeah, it'll fit, I believe. Why does this thing come with a gasket? Oh, okay. It looks like on the old filter, that one's like extruded up, not protruding up a little bit. Right here, maybe? Oh, I think, I don't know. I'm gonna Google it. Alright, let's see if I can get a little bit of diesel in this thing without making a gigantic mess. Oh, not off to a great start. Okay, well, I spilled a lot. Spill some more. Try and get a little on that gasket. Like an oil filter, I think. Oh, almost forgot the gasket. That probably would have been bad. Alright, I call that nug. Now I'm trying to go 3/4 of a turn. Hopefully I'll be able to see that. Probably won't. There we are. There's my little mark. Alright. I'm gonna figure out how to prime this thing or whatever and pick the camera back up once I'm doing that. Okay, there's no more bubbles. I don't think. I need an actual screwdriver. What am I doing? Alright, well that new filter is installed. And I primed it the best I could anyways. And cleaned everything and blah blah blah. And so I'm just gonna see if it'll even start being it. Just how I'm just gonna see if it'll even start how I have it now, because I don't know if I did it right. So fingers crossed. I got a rag under there too. Hopefully it'll show me if anything's leaking, which I hope isn't the case. Alright, well, here goes nothing. Alright, here we go. Hopefully nothing's wrong. It started. It's running though. I don't see diesel spewing everywhere. That's a good sign, I think. Alright, well, I'll pick the camera up if I figure out how to tighten whatever that thing is. All right, well, I tried for a minute or two to get these two bolts and nut, or this bolt and nut on top and bottom here, out holding this cover on, so that I could get back to that bolt and tighten this thing. But once I got this nut off, I couldn't get this through bolt to go out, or barely move at all, and I don't want to mess anything else up. I was hitting with a hammer and it wouldn't move. So, but then I was staring at this thing for a minute, and judging off of the indentation on this foam on the inside of the engine compartment door, it appears that that is the shape of that. So I think maybe when I shut the door and start it, it won't be rattling around like that. But I don't know. Let's just see if it even starts again, and if it does, we'll see if it moves. Here we go, fingers crossed. Started. Doesn't seem to be rattling now that the door is shut, so let's see if turn the light on and see if it moves. Oh, there we go. I don't think I fixed it. No, sir. Well, gotta figure something else out. Alright, well, I got that other fuel filter installed and that's not leaking. But when I tried to use it the other night, I noticed that this injector on the far right here, I don't know if that's number 1 or number 4 in the sequence. I don't know which one's considered, I didn't look it up, but that one in particular, it seemed was leaking. And it didn't look like these ones were leaking at all, because they were completely dry. I keep saying injectors, but it's just the injector hard lines is the right term, more likely probably. But because the actual injector's down here. But so last night I backed this nut all the way off and lifted this line up a little bit and tried to clean it as good as I could with a paper towel, and then I tried to get it to fit down in there like perfectly at 90 degrees. That's what it said it's supposed to be, and I don't know if it's there, but I cleaned everything the best I could with a toothbrush and some parts cleaner, and now I'm just gonna start it and see if it's still leaking how it was. And if it is, I don't know, I probably won't go too much further on it, because like I said, I don't have any formal knowledge on this. But if it's just a loose nut and line, then that could be it, but we'll see. Oh, it's warm in here. Wow. Oh, it kind of smells like a mouse or something in here too. Lovely. see if it moves. Boy, that'd be nice if it moves. What do you think, old Skittle steer? Will you move? It's moving. All right, before I get excited, I'm gonna rev her down, shut her down, park the brake on, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that nothing's leaking. Make sure I got all my stuff cleaned up and all the stuff I touched is still how it somewhat was or supposed to be. And I'm also going to write on the fuel filter the date and hour that I did this at, if it's not spewing again. Okay, I don't see diesel. That's insane. This whole entire injector, I don't know if this is an injector pump right here underneath it, but it was, I mean, the whole side of the engine over here was covered in diesel. But let's see if we can actually, if this thing will work or not. I'm gonna get everything once over and then we'll go for a test drive. Cooking in here. Alright, now let's go see if she wants to move. Come on, old Bobcat. Alright, lady. I don't know why I call everything lady, but this Bobcat's a lady to me. Wow, it feels faster even at quarter throttle than when I had it the other day. Let's try full throttle. RPM seem to be where they're, I think, should be. Uh-oh. I already got excited. Uh-oh. I just want to shut it off in a place where I can work on it. I got too excited too quick. Why is it dying now, though?
The next day.
I had given up on working on it after I replaced the fuel filter and loosened and cleaned and then reinstalled, or not reinstalled, but reseated the injector line that was leaking, because I had it, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, took video of it, excuse me, I had it running decent, or full power it felt, at least, from my neighbor's house to here, and then it died. And for the better part of a day or more, I was going about trying to fix it, as I was chasing down a fuel problem, thinking that it was a fuel issue every time that it would die or not work, because especially because I had installed that fuel filter, and then I've never primed one of these or worked on one, so I didn't know if that was going to be, if I did that right or not. So then I started looking at other things, and I ended up trying to prime it out of this banjo bolt as well, and that wasn't it either. And then but yeah, like I said, that none of the stuff that I was doing originally seems to be leaking or anything like that anymore, so that's good. And that's none of that seems to be failing also. So yesterday my neighbor was trying to finish one of his projects he's doing, and it still wasn't moving at all or whatsoever. So I went over there and I was just kind of listening, and I tried priming it for him one more time, just thinking still it was a fuel problem, and it wasn't. So then I had him, one of the times he started it, I don't know how I hadn't heard it until just last night, but one of the times that he was in there and I told him to start it, I heard squealing, like a significant squeal, and for some reason a light bulb went off, and I was like, well, maybe that belt is just slipping. And then I looked up a video and found out how to adjust it, and if you take these two 14mm nuts off, you can lift this, or kind of like hold this whole air filter housing and whatever this air filter's inside of here. You can kind of hold it up out of the way, and I took a bungee cord and just wrapped it around the big hinge arm, and so it was up, gave you enough room to reach back in here. And then back where the belt is, there's right, hard to see. Give me my flashlight here. Right where my light's pointing, there's a tensioner, and that's a 14mm nut as well. And the little area above that tensioner and bolt is strong enough that you can stick a large pry bar in here after you loosen that nut. And thankfully I had help with my neighbor. After I backed that nut out and loosened the tensioner, I cleaned it first with some parts cleaner and a toothbrush, and then I backed the bolt out, and I had him with the crowbar right here push down. And then once I was feeling the tension of the belt, I tightened it back and tried to match it to the mark. There was a paint mark on it, so I just tried to put it back to where that was. And after I did that, he fired it up, and it ran all night last night, and then he used it all day today getting sand and stuff like that. So yeah, I've got it here back at my house because I asked if I could use it for a couple little projects I have. I just want to see if I can somehow get that old mower onto the bucket and moved over to a different spot. And then there's a couple potholes in my driveway I might try and fix, but yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I said, but I'm not any kind of diesel mechanic, but maybe this will give someone an idea of how I got it working or something like that. But the injector line that I took off or loosened right here and cleaned and reinstalled isn't leaking anymore. Hope it stays that way, as well as the fuel filter installed. So, and then before I did any of this, I just tried cleaning the air filter. But if it was just the belt slipping the whole time, I mean, probably didn't have to do any of the fuel stuff, but probably didn't hurt. I'm sure it definitely was a good thing to get that to stop leaking. But yeah, so my neighbor asked me if I'd grab a couple scoops of sand for him back from a place we have kind of like a sand pit back on our land. So I'm gonna do that for him and then see if I can get my projects done with it. And hopefully it makes it through all that without any problem, anything like that. So. Here because I didn't want the window sliding shut, but I just realized if I lift my arms up how they are right now, that's not gonna work. Thank goodness I spotted that. That should work, right? Think, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. Oh, grease. Oh, I know you need grease, I'm sorry. Wow, I haven't been back here in a while. My neighbor's got himself a freaking hole dug halfway to China.
China, 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 China.
Holy cow.
In the eyes of a ranger, the unsuspecting stranger. When you're in Texas, look behind you.